Guys, I'm Peter, and this is my personal interest project. So today I'm going to be cooking chicken piccata, which is chicken with a lemon sauce, kind of like a lemon caper sauce. And I'm also going to be cooking risotto, which is a certain type of way to cook rice. To cook risotto, what you're going to need is a pot. I would say an average sized pot, just big enough to fit all of the ingredients in. You don't really want it too small. You're also going to want 2 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 2.5 cups chicken broth, 2.5 cups beef broth, 4 tablespoons of butter, which equals out to half a stick, a white onion, and then also I use the type of rice called arborio, and I use that because it has a good consistency which makes it easier to cook risotto in. So when starting risotto, the first things you have to do is get 2 tablespoons of olive oil and put them in your pot. Before you do that, you want to turn the stove onto medium-high heat. After you do that, you want to dice up your onions. So I'll just do that really quick. So here are the diced onions. You also want to get 4 tablespoons of butter. Also, before you start any of this, you want to make sure you wash your hands. So first, put in your 4 tablespoons of butter into the pot. That'll sizzle up. You just want to mix it around really quickly. So that's sizzling. You want to take all your onions. I'll just put the big chunks in this plate. You want to take all your onions and then put them into the pot as well. So you want to constantly stir it so that the butter doesn't brown and overcook, and you also want to constantly stir it so that the onions don't overcook. I would give it, it varies on time, but I would say the onions are good when they get to a soft golden brown consistency. And so until then, just constantly stir the pan until they get to that. So this is about the right consistency. So you can tell that the onions are browned and they're pretty soft right now. Try not to overcook them because they can overcook very fast. If so, it doesn't really matter. They still taste good either way. But I'm going to take it off the flame for right now, just for a quick second, so that I can pour in the rice. So for the next part, after you saute the onions, you pour in the rice, 1.5 cups. And then you pour it into here. Put that on the heat. And then you cook that for 3 minutes. For those 3 minutes, just constantly stir. What it does is it softens the rice up, and it mixes it in with all the flavors of the onion, the butter, and the olive oil. After those 3 minutes, take it off the pan, and that's when you'll be adding in your beef stock and all the other things. So now that 3 minutes are up, you want to take this off the stove, turn off the heat for a second so that it doesn't overcook, and then add in your beef stock. So after the initial stirring of the rice, you want to add in your chicken and your beef broth. You want to go 1 cup at a time because when you pour in the chicken broth into the rice, over time it will soak up the chicken broth. And if you put a lot in, it will just over-soak the rice and it will taste mushy and kind of nasty. So for right now, I'm just going to put in 1 cup of chicken broth. Put that straight into the pot. Let that simmer, and then you will slowly see the rice soaking up the broth. It will slowly get bigger. Once the broth is almost gone, or at least a lot of it is gone, that is when you want to pour in the next cup of broth. So this is the consistency you want. You can see how it soaked up almost all of the broth and how the rice has gotten a lot bigger. That is the time when you want to add in more of the broth. So I'm going to add in 1 cup of beef broth. And then again, over time, the rice will absorb the broth and we will pour in another cup. So now you can tell that it's absorbed even more of the broth. You can see how the consistency is getting slowly bigger and how there's less broth over time. So we're going to add 1 more cup. I'm going to do chicken broth again. 2 more times over, we're going to add in a cup of beef broth after the rice absorbs it, and then another cup of chicken broth after the rice absorbs the beef broth. And over time, that should take about a total of 18 to 20 minutes. Once you're done adding in the 2 other broths, which should take about 18 to 20 minutes, take it off the burner. Also, you want to make sure that it's at a medium to medium high when cooking this. But after the 5 cups of broth are added in, you want to take it off the burner, have it sit a little bit, have it absorb all of the broth, and you should be done. That should be your final product. So to cook chicken piccata, what you're going to need is 2 skinless and boneless chicken breasts, salt, sea salt, and black pepper, 6 tablespoons of butter, 5 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil, 1/3 cup of lemon juice, and I like to use fresh lemon just because it has a better taste. Then you do 1/2 cup chicken stock, 1/4 cup capers, and 1/3 cup of fresh parsley, and I like to chop that up too. So to make chicken piccata, what you have to do is you have to butterfly your skinless and boneless chicken breasts. I've already done that to 2 of them, but I'm going to show you how to do it right here. So what you want to do is you want to take a knife, you want to put your hand over the knife, and you want to just slowly cut through the chicken, and do it slowly, making sure you're not going to cut your hand. Yeah, I'll be like. Now you can see that the chicken is cut horizontally. Now you want to cut it into 4ths vertically. After cutting it vertically, you want to put the chicken onto this plate, salt and pepper, and then after you're done with that, you want to put the chicken in the flour, get both sides, pat it down so all the flour's on the chicken. So before you put the chicken in the pan, you want to put in 3 tablespoons of extra virgin olive oil and 2 tablespoons of butter. That is so that you can cook the chicken with more flavor. You can cook it so that it breads the flour on the chicken. But first, before you put the chicken in the pan, you want to have this stuff in it. You want to have it to a medium-high heat so that over time, the butter and the olive oil sizzle. As you can see, it's starting to sizzle. You just want to make sure that all the chunks of butter are melted. But once that's all done, you want to add in your chicken breasts, but you don't want to add them in all. You don't want to add in all of them. You want to add in half of them. So right now, the sauce is sizzling. So I will add in half the chicken breasts. And I'm going to let that cook for 3 minutes for each side. Now that we're done with the chicken, we want to make our sauce. So what we need is we need lemons, enough to make 1/3 cup lemon juice. We want capers, enough to make 1/4 cup of capers. We also want chicken broth to give us 1/2 cup of chicken broth. That all goes into one to make a really nice sauce. So we're going to start off with our lemons. So after we're done with all that, we want to take all 3 of these, we want to add it into the exact same pan we cooked our chicken in. And then we're going to have this on medium-high heat, and we're going to wait until the sauce boils. Once the sauce starts boiling, we're going to add in the chicken right here. But until then, as it's starting to boil, we want to try to scrape off all of the contents on the bottom of the pan, like the chicken and all that, the extra pieces of chicken that were left behind, so that the sauce gets more flavor. So now that the sauce is starting to boil, we want to add in our chicken. We want to do that piece by piece so none of the sauce starts splashing at us. And we're gonna set it to medium low when we put in the chicken, so that the chicken absorbs the flavor, gets a nice flavor into it, so it tastes really good. We're gonna have the chicken in the pan on medium low for 5 minutes. You can cut it now. So after we're done with the chicken, we just add the sauce onto the chicken, and then also I just cut up some fresh parsley, and I'm just going to lightly sprinkle that over the chicken. And there we are. That's chicken piccata, and this is risotto. So thanks for listening. This has been my personal interest project for Multimedia 1. I hope you liked it.